The grid went down 6 days ago. You haven't eaten in 2. The water from the creek behind your neighborhood tasted fine, a little earthy maybe. You drank it anyway because your throat was cracking and your kid was crying, and what else were you supposed to do? Now it's day 8, and you're curled on a bathroom floor with cramps that feel like someone's wringing your intestines like a wet towel. There's no hospital, no IV drip, no little plastic cup of electrolytes from a nurse named Donna. Just you, a bucket, and gravity pulling everything out of you from both ends. And the thing that's about to kill you isn't a bullet. It's not a gang of marauders. It's not radiation or some Hollywood plague. It's a teaspoon of creek water. See, everyone pictures the collapse like an action movie. Gunfights at the gas station, Mad Max convoys, rooftop snipers. And yeah, some of that might happen. But the data from every modern societal collapse, Bosnia, Venezuela, Argentina, even Hurricane Katrina, tells a completely different story. The overwhelming majority of people who die after systems fail die from things so boring you wouldn't even make a TikTok about them. Dehydration, an infected blister, a tooth. And that's what we're going to walk through right now. 10 real ways people will actually die when things fall apart, not the cinematic ones, the unglamorous, humiliating, absolutely preventable ones. Because once you know what's actually hunting you, you can sidestep every single one of these. Stick around for number 3 especially, because I genuinely believe it's the one almost nobody is preparing for, and it'll claim more lives in the first 90 days than anything else on this list. Let's get into it. Kill number 10, the slow drip, dehydration. Your body is roughly 60% water. Lose just 2% of that, and your brain starts misfiring. You get confused, clumsy, you make bad decisions, which in a collapse is the same as signing your own death certificate. The average person can survive about 3 days without water, 72 hours. But here's what most survival guides conveniently leave out. You won't be sitting still in a cool room waiting to die. You'll be working, moving, sweating, stressed out of your mind. Under those conditions, severe dehydration can set in within 24 hours, 1 day. And most people's water prep is a couple cases of Dasani in the garage. That's maybe 2 days for a family of 4. After that, you're the person drinking from the creek. Which brings us to the next one. Kill number 9, the invisible army. Waterborne disease, cholera, dysentery, giardia, cryptosporidium. Names that sound like ancient curses, and honestly, they kind of are. In the 2010 Haiti earthquake aftermath, cholera killed over 10,000 people. Not the earthquake, not the rubble. A bacterium in the water supply, roughly 7 microns wide, did what the quake couldn't finish. And the cruelest part? Diarrheal disease doesn't just dehydrate you, it dehydrates you while making it nearly impossible to keep any fluids down. It's a feedback loop designed by the devil. Boil your water, always. 212 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 minute at sea level, 3 minutes above 6,000 feet. No filter? Boil it. No pot? A metal can works. No fire? We've got a problem. Which is why fire starting belongs in every bag you own, period. Kill number 8, the paper cut reaper. In the modern world, you cut your hand opening a can of beans, you rinse it, slap on a Band-Aid, maybe some Neosporin, and forget about it by dinner. After collapse, that same cut is an open door for Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, Clostridium, all the bacteria that are already on your skin and in your environment, just waiting for a way in. Before antibiotics existed, a simple scratch could, and routinely did, go septic within days. In the Civil War, twice as many soldiers died from infection and disease as from actual combat wounds, 2 to 1. Let that ratio sink in. Stock triple antibiotic ointment, stock alcohol, stock iodine, stock butterfly closures. That $10 first aid aisle at the dollar store might be the most valuable real estate in the entire building when pharmacies are empty. Kill number 7, the pharmacy clock. Now here's the one that keeps me up at night. Over 130 million Americans, roughly 40% of the adult population, take at least one prescription medication: insulin, blood pressure meds, thyroid hormones, anti-seizure drugs, SSRIs. When the supply chain breaks, the pharmacy doesn't restock, and for millions of people, that's not an inconvenience, it's a countdown. Insulin-dependent diabetics can enter diabetic ketoacidosis within 24 to 48 hours without their dose. That's organ failure. That's death. And there is no wilderness hack, no essential oil, no herbal tea that replaces synthetic insulin. If you or someone in your household depends on medication to live, a 90-day backup supply isn't paranoid. It's the bare minimum. Talk to your doctor now. Get the extra prescription now, while there are still doctors and pharmacies to talk to. By the way, if this is the kind of information you think more people need to hear before it's too late, you know what to do with that subscribe button. Consider it a public service announcement for everyone the algorithm sends this way. Kill number 6, the tooth that eats you alive. A dental abscess. You're laughing. You shouldn't be. Before modern dentistry, tooth infections were a leading cause of death, and I mean leading. A study published in the British Dental Journal found that in pre-antibiotic England, dental infections accounted for roughly 10 to 40% of recorded deaths in some parishes. The bacteria from an untreated abscess can migrate to your heart, your brain, your bloodstream. Full-blown sepsis from a cavity. Get your dental work done now. Stock clove oil. It's a legitimate topical analgesic. And if you're really serious, learn how to perform a field extraction. I've watched it done once. Once was enough. Kill number 5, the kitchen killer. Botulism, salmonella, E. coli. In a world without refrigeration, food becomes a ticking time bomb the moment it's prepared. Botulism, specifically, thrives in improperly canned food, anaerobic environments, the kind you create when you seal a jar without the right temperature and pressure. Clostridium botulinum produces one of the most potent toxins known to science. A single gram, properly dispersed, could theoretically kill 1 million people. And people will be canning food after collapse, guaranteed. Most of them will be guessing. Learn pressure canning. Not water bath canning for everything, pressure canning. Know the difference. The margin between a safe jar of preserved food and a jar of invisible poison is about 11 psi and a few degrees. Kill number 4, friendly fire. Not from bullets, from candles, kerosene lamps, improvised wood stoves, space heaters running off generators in enclosed rooms. After every major disaster, house fires spike. After Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, carbon monoxide poisoning cases surged because people were running generators indoors. No electricity means people get creative with fire and combustion, often inside structures that were never designed for it. And when there's no fire department coming, a small kitchen fire becomes a structure fire, becomes everything you own, plus possibly you. Keep fire extinguishers. No ventilation. Never, and I mean never, run combustion devices in a sealed space. Carbon monoxide doesn't smell, doesn't taste, doesn't announce itself. You just go to sleep. That's it. Let me ask you something, actually. I'd genuinely love to know. How many of you watching right now have a real plan for any of this? Not just gear, not just a bug-out bag, but an actual sit-down plan for what your first 72 hours look like. Drop it in the comments. Not to brag, but because I think the answers might help someone else who's just starting. Anyway, kill number 3, the one I told you about, the silent freeze, hypothermia. And I don't mean in Alaska in January. I mean in your own house in October in Tennessee. People massively underestimate how fast cold kills when there's no central heating. Hypothermia can begin at temperatures as mild as 50 degrees Fahrenheit if you're wet, exhausted, or malnourished, which after a collapse, you will be. Your core temperature drops just 3.5 degrees below normal and your muscles stop cooperating. Drop another few degrees and your heart starts misfiring. The cold doesn't scream at you, it whispers. You get sleepy, comfortable even. You stop shivering, and that's the worst sign, because it means your body has stopped fighting. Insulate your sleeping area. Layer clothing. Stuff dead air space between fabric layers with crumpled newspaper, dry leaves, anything. Your body generates about 100 watts of heat. The only job is to keep it from leaving. Kill number 2, the neighbor problem. Here's the part that nobody wants to talk about because it's ugly and it doesn't fit the community spirit narrative that some preppers love to sell online. Violence. But not the kind you're imagining. Statistically, in most collapses, the violence doesn't come from roaming biker gangs. It comes from people you know. Neighbors, acquaintances, desperate parents 3 houses down who know you were the family that always had a full pantry. In Argentina's 2001 economic collapse, home invasions spiked over 300%, and most were committed by people from the same neighborhood. Operational security, keeping your preparations quiet, is not antisocial. It's arithmetic. The fewer people who know what you have, the fewer people show up to take it. Preparation without discretion is just shopping for someone else. And now, the one that might matter more than all the others combined. Kill number 1, the quiet quit. Psychological collapse. Giving up. In every single prolonged survival scenario studied, from POW camps to polar expeditions to the siege of Sarajevo, the single greatest predictor of who lives and who dies isn't fitness, it's not gear, it's not knowledge, it's the will to keep going. Dr. John Leach, a survival psychologist at the University of Portsmouth, coined the term give-up-itis, clinically known as psychogenic death, where a person who is physically capable of surviving simply stops trying. They withdraw, they stop eating, they lie down, and within days, they die, with no clear medical cause. The body follows where the mind leads, always. That's why mental preparation isn't some soft, motivational poster add-on to your preps. It is the prep. Everything else, the water filters, the food buckets, the med kits, is just equipment. Equipment is useless in the hands of someone who's already quit. Have a reason to survive, a person, a purpose, a stubborn, irrational refusal to let the world win. That's the gear nobody stocks and everybody needs. So here's where we are. 10 ways people will die, and not a single one of them requires a nuclear bomb or a zombie horde. Dehydration, bad water, an infected scratch, a missing pill, a rotten tooth, spoiled food, a candle left burning, a cold night, a desperate neighbor, and the voice in your own head telling you it's not worth it anymore. Every single one is preventable. Every single one has a counter. And now you know all 10, which already puts you ahead of most people who'll be blindsided by the boring apocalypse while they were busy preparing for the dramatic one. Knowledge before the crisis is survival. Knowledge after is a luxury you can't afford. If this video gave you even one thing you hadn't considered, subscribe. Because the next one might be the one that actually saves your life, and you won't know until you need it.